Okay, so let's get started. We have a lot to cover this evening, so I want to make sure I leave time at the end of the presentation to answer your questions that you may have. This is our application planning session. My name is Dr. Jacqueline Miller. Students call me Jackie. I am the Director of Admissions for the Evans School of Public Policy and Governance here at the University of Washington. I just wanted to let you know that this is being recorded, and so that we want to start with our land and labor acknowledgement. The University of Washington acknowledges the Coast people of this land, the land which touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Squamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. Tonight, our agenda will be researching graduate school, building your admission strategy, and questions and answers at the end to help you move along. So the first thing I always tell prospective students when they're starting out and looking at different MPA programs or different graduate programs is to do your research. Do your research on the school, do your research on the financial aid packets, what careers does that degree help you achieve? Talk to the students, the faculty, and look at the courses that are being offered by that university. Typically, I always tell prospective students to start with a time frame that you commit maybe 30 minutes each day to conducting your research. And as you move along, you may find that amount of time works for you. You may need more time or less time, but definitely commit to a time frame that you want to allow yourself to do the research on the organizations and programs. Definitely talk to our current MPA students. If you were to go to our website, evans@uw.edu, you will find that we have MPA ambassadors who are there to help answer your questions. They will answer your questions about not only the program, but their experiences in the program. So definitely take an opportunity to reach out to them. They are available to help give you a perspective from the student side. I would say connect with our faculty. Each time that I meet with prospective students, I say, well, look at the faculty, look at what they're interested in, look at their research agenda. Does that align with where you think your career wants to go? Is that someone that you can potentially connect with so that they can help answer your questions and guide you through the program and the process? Our faculty are always there to help answer questions that you may have, if not by email, maybe by Zoom, but I would always encourage you to try email first because that is the best source of content for our faculty. Of course, look at the courses. Our courses in our program are rigor and quantitative courses. And so you want to make sure that you can manage the rigors of the program. You want to look at the courses to see what each course teaches you and what skill sets you will learn from them. And so as you go into our website, you are able to click on each course that you will take over the course of 2 years. 2 years if you are a full-time student, 3 years if you are a part-time student. Whether you're full-time or part-time, the courses will remain the same. Build your admission strategy with a timeline of deliverables. I always encourage prospective students to think about the application deadline and then work your way back when you're thinking of how do you want to frame what task you get done when. So for example, the Evans School, our application deadline is January 15th. I always say, give yourself 2-week cushion so that if anything happens on the tail end before you have to submit your application, there is time for you to go back and adjust. And so if we were looking at 2 weeks before the deadline, that's January 1st, New Year's Day may not be the best day. So maybe December 28th is a better day. So definitely start with the deadline in mind. Think about how many letters of recommendation you're going to have, and then count forward. How much time do you want to give them? So you want to start documenting this. And the easiest way that I think that you can track this is through your Excel spreadsheet. So develop just a basic spreadsheet, and here's one for example. And it'll tell you the program, the concentrations, the length of the program, the deadlines, application fees, whether there's financial support in terms of scholarships, fellowships, internships, RA position, TA position. All that information you can have here in a spreadsheet for you. Admissions testing, GPA, etc. Remember, our application deadline is January 15th, and we'll start with that going back. But then we'll have the application materials checklist. So you want to definitely look at what's required for each school, whether it's the Evans School or another school. Understand what the application materials are asking you to submit. That is a big part of it. Sometimes students are missing one component because all of the materials that are required at the Evans School may or may not be required at another school. So you definitely want to be consistent in making sure that you check the boxes of what you have so that your application won't be deemed incomplete as of January 15th and unable to move forward. So the first thing we ask is for your unofficial transcript. So the unofficial transcript goes to the admission committee. The admission committee will review your transcript and determine several different things when they're looking at it. They're looking for your GPA. They're looking potentially for your concentration or your classes, in your major. They definitely want to see if you have taken any quantitative classes, and if yes, how did you perform? So you should submit your unofficial transcript with your application. If admitted to the program, then you will be required to submit an official transcript. So when is the best time to request an official transcript? After you've submitted your application, because you definitely want to make sure you have that on hand with no delays. For our international applicants, it could take you longer to receive your official transcripts from your university outside of the United States. So I always say the sooner the better that you can request that, just to allow that institution a bit more time to receive your requests and process it. Your resume, what information should be included on your resume? Now, your resume for job search is a little different than your resume for graduate school. For your resume, for the graduate school, you really want to focus on leadership and management areas of where you've been, whether it's been in undergrad, whether it's been in extracurricular activities. Talk about some of the qualities that you have and social service, of service to someone else. So definitely take a look and see what's available in your background that you can include in your resume. Of course, all resumes have your work experience, your education experience, and extracurricular activities. As I always tell prospective students, you are crafting your story and weaving it throughout each component of your application. Your resume is another opportunity for you to weave your story, and your story can be through your extracurricular activities or different functions you have done on your job. I know in a regular job resume, we focus on quantitative outputs. How many clients did you have? How much income, revenue did you generate? Well, this is not that type of resume. This resume is for graduate school, and graduate school is really looking for your potential for management and leadership. And so you definitely want to look at that through that lens of how you describe yourself in your resume. Still list your work experience, your education and your extracurricular, but you'll change the lens looking through what is my potential for the future. Letters of recommendation. Letters of recommendation are another avenue to craft your story, tell your story, but through the lens of your recommender. And your recommender could be your supervisor, it can be an academic, it can be a professional recommendation. So through their lens and their observations of you on the job, how do they view you as a teammate, as a collaborator, as a manager, if that's the position you've been in. So you really want to put those details into the letter. You want to give your recommender as much time as possible. I typically recommend 3 weeks for your recommender to get the letter back to you, because they may have questions about the content of the letter, or do you think I should include or exclude this kind of information? So you really want to let your recommender know this letter of recommendation is for the Evans School Public Administration, and here are some of the qualities that a prospective student may or may not have. And so with that in mind, then they can help write your letter of recommendation. Statement of quantitative preparation. The statement of quantitative preparation / GRE, because right now our GRE is optional. You have an opportunity to write the statement of quantitative preparation. And what the statement of quantitative preparation really details for the admission committee is how are you prepared or will be prepared for the rigors of a quantitative course load. And so we will look at several different things. As you explain it in your statement, you may say, as an undergraduate student, I took economics, I took macro and microeconomics, I took statistics, I took research methods, quantitative research methods, I've taken mixed research methods. So there you want to be detailed. If it's not in your undergraduate coursework, it could be in your work experience. You may be an analyst, and so you're really using those quantitative skills in your day-to-day work environment. Third may be, oh, I plan on preparing for the quantitative rigor by taking extra classes at another university over the summer, or I may be taking some online quantitative courses through maybe Khan Academy or Coursera or a community college. But this statement of quantitative preparation gives you an opportunity to tell how your past prepared you for quantitative classes through undergraduate coursework, or how your work experience prepared you for quantitative coursework, or how you are preparing in the future to take quantitative classes before the start of the program. For your statement of purpose, I always call your statement of purpose prime real estate, because this is where you get to boast about yourself. Your statement of purpose, I always compare it to an interview. So in an interview and preparing for an interview, I will tell students to have 3 or 5 stories that they can pull out of their pocket in case they were asked, tell me a story about. Tell me a story about a time where you were a leader. Tell me a story about a time where there was a problem you couldn't solve and you needed to go ask for help, and what were those outcomes. And so I would say that with a statement of purpose, have a few stories that you can sprinkle in the middle as you craft your story about who you are. Who you are could be from your past to your present, and how your present with the MPA from the Evans School can help prepare you for your future. So there are several different ways that you can craft your statement of purpose. I've also posted on the Evans School YouTube channel the webinar from last week's statement of purpose. So there's about a 45-minute presentation on the statement of purpose that you're welcome to go back and look at at your leisure. And I always encourage students to proofread, proofread, proofread. One of the good things about your quantitative statement of preparedness and your statement of purpose is that you can revise, revise, and revise over a set period of time. So if you were to say start today, and if you've not already started, start thinking about what are those topics you want to put into your statement of purpose. What are some of the things you want to put in your statement of quantitative preparedness? Try to have one person as your proofreader so that they can watch you develop your story and how you frame it within the confines of a 750-word document about yourself and how the Evans MPA is going to help prepare you for a future career that you have chosen. I would always say one of the good things about learning about a university is to get to know them, engage with the university, engage with the staff, engage with the students, engage with the alumni. For the Evans School, if you are on LinkedIn, you are welcome to look up Evans School and then click on the link for alumni. There you will find several different things. You will find those who have graduated from the Evans School with an MPA, an EMPA, or a PhD. You can also look at what jobs did they have after they graduated? Where did they land? What industries and what job titles? And so if that is of interest to you, I always encourage you to reach out to at least one person off that list and say, I am a prospective student for the MPA program, and it would be great if you can share 10 minutes of your time to share your experiences at the Evans School. And they will likely say yes, and then you get an opportunity to connect with our alumni. Our students are the same way. If you reach out to the ambassadors, they are there to help answer your questions. Definitely utilize the resources that are available for you to engage with the university. So with that in mind, be thoughtful with your strategy. I always say that the most precious thing you have right now is time. Time to prepare your strategy, time to sketch out deliverables with deadlines attached to them so that when it's time to submit your application, you're definitely comfortable with the materials and the product that you produced. And so the more you can start early and submit early if you can. Also complete the FAFSA and search for funding. I will have on December 9th a funding webinar so that we can talk about funding and what are some of those opportunities you may have at the University of Washington and outside of the University of Washington. So internal and external scholarships and funding opportunities. For the Evans School, January 15th is our deadline. Application review process begins late December, really after January through March. Our decisions are made in February through March. There's an admitted student open house that will be on April 2020, and decisions should be made by April 15th. So I will open it up for questions. Please use the chat box if you have a question about the presentation or your particular case. Questions? What is the length requirement? Who should we contact to obtain a TOEFL waiver? So graduate admissions would be the department that you should contact. So if you were to go to uw.edu, you are welcome to reach out to them and ask about what does a TOEFL waiver look like? What is the process to request one? What is the length requirement for the quantitative statement of preparation? It can be a one-pager, a paragraph, 2 paragraphs. I would always say in your resume under education, if you have taken quantitative classes, as in your job description that you give for each job title, usually you do 3 bullet points. You can also do that under education and just label and list which classes you have taken that you consider quantitative in nature. And you can also, again, put it in your statement of quantitative purpose, which will say, my name is so-and-so. I have taken these classes at whatever university, or as an undergraduate student, I feel that they have prepared me for the rigors of the graduate program. So it can be clear, it can be succinct and precise, and that is definitely what we're looking for. I am interested in taking 1 to 2 courses before applying. What is the process for taking MPA courses as a non-enrolled student? So we call that non-matriculation. So as a non-matric student, you are welcome to take classes. There are specific classes that you can take, and I would encourage you to schedule an advising meeting with me through our website, and we can talk about your case specifically. Can my resume be more than 1 page? That is a great question. I've always encouraged students to see if we can keep your resume to 1 page. This is an opportunity. Like I said, you are crafting your story throughout your resume. So I would say if you really can't do 1, do 2. And if you are going to do 2, be clear about what is it that you want to highlight about you. So is it the extracurricular activity? Are there different leadership positions that you've taken as a volunteer in your career? Is it management? Were you a part of big teams, small teams? So one of the things the admissions committee would also be looking at is, are you able to join a cohort and work cohesively? So maybe that is another opportunity, say in your resume, that you can talk about you are a part of a team, but as part of a team, this was your contribution to the team. Great question. Should you list what grade you received in each course in the statement of quantitative preparation, or simply list the classes and allow them to check the unofficial transcript if they would like to see the grades? I would say in your resume, if your grades were good, highlight it under bullet points under that institution you attended to receive grades in those courses, but you could talk about it in the statement of quantitative preparedness. So definitely talk about it, but if you want to highlight it, you can highlight it again. That's just putting more spotlight on, hey, I've already taken quantitative classes. I spoke about it in my statement of quantitative preparedness, but I'm also highlighting it again on my resume. Are current undergraduate students that are prospective graduate students disadvantaged in any way with a lack of relevant work experience? So my answer would be no. I find that there are students who are able to do the rigors of the program, whether they're coming from undergraduate into graduate or they have years of work experience. One of the things that the Evans School MPA program will do is give you the tools in your tool belt to help you succeed in a career in public service. And it may be in public service, it may be in nonprofit service, but it will be of service. And so one of the things the Evans School does quite well is to prepare you not just with the the knowledge, but also the skill sets, because you'll be practicing those skills in the classroom with projects, in groups, as individuals, and with organizations. So we really want to give you real life experiences on how do you use the tools that we are giving you in a real life situation to help you succeed once you graduate. What would you consider a good grade? A good grade for the Evans School to be considered for admission is a 3.0 or better. And so that's what you definitely want to aim for, because you want to meet the minimum requirements at most so that you are eligible for the program. So under the guidelines and the admission requirements for the Evans School MPA, you are required to have a 3.0 GPA. Can I submit GRE scores and a quantitative statement? If not, how good of a GRE score do I have to have for a score to be impressive than a quantitative statement? Great question. It's an either or for you. I would say we are doing the same exact thing. We are looking to see if you are ready for the rigors of a quantitative course load. And so the GREs can tell us. We've had scores from the very high to the mid-range. And so I don't really like to give a number. I just want to make sure that you are prepared for the rigors of the program. So I want to tell you that up front. And so in your statement of quantitative preparedness, you definitely want to talk about, I was potentially a business administration major. Here are the quantitative classes I've taken in the past. I've taken microeconomics, I've taken macroeconomics, I've taken statistics, I have taken research methods, both quantitative and hybrid. So you definitely want to give them a little bit of flavor of what it is you have taken and why do you think you're prepared for the rigors of a quantitative course load. I'm also trying to make a clear answer. Perhaps you may be able to offer one. But what are the differences between the MPA and the MPP? So the MPA is public administration and the MPP is a Master's of Public Policy. What I always encourage students to do, because given the curriculum, you want to go to the school with the MPP that you're considering and then open up the curriculum for the MPA, say at the Evans School, and compare the two. How are the courses similar and how are they different? And for the vast majority of prospective students, they find that our program of study is similar to public policy. So definitely take a look at both of those in comparison. As I talked about before about doing your research about a university, do your research about the course load and the degree requirements. What are the classes you'll be asked to take in each program? Are they the same really, or are they slightly different? So for us, if you go to our course load, you can click on the class and it will also give you an example of what the syllabus may look like for that class. And so definitely take a look at that. And then you can compare and say, is an MPA at the Evans School different than an MPP, Masters of Public Policy degree? And what are the trade-offs? So with any degree that you have, there are going to be trade-offs. And do those trade-offs help you prepare for the future that you want and the career that you want? So definitely take a look at that and keep in mind, I am choosing a graduate school to prepare me for a future and then list the future that you want. And then determine which one of those programs work best for you. So GRE scores at the Evans School are optional. So the question was, are GRE scores required for admissions? The GRE scores at the Evans School are optional this year. In lieu of it being optional, you're welcome to submit a statement of quantitative preparedness. So remember, each school that you look at, their admission requirements may be different. Some schools may still require the GREs. So you definitely want to take a look and study which schools require a GRE, which schools are waiving the GRE, and which schools are requiring a statement of quantitative preparation. So great question, but be clear on the school and which each school admissions requirements are. If I apply and get accepted, but then decide not to attend next fall, will I be penalized in the future if I apply a couple years later? So I would say definitely take your time and think about where you're at in your career and whether now is a good time to apply to a program, whether it's at the Evans School or anywhere else. Because remember, if we're saying yes to you, we're saying no to someone else. So in the back of your mind, if you think, well, I'll apply, but I'm really not interested in starting for 3 years later, then you want to withdraw and then apply closer to the time where you think you're ready. For some reason, if you defer, you are welcome to defer for 1 year with us. What should prospective students expect in terms of tuition? Is there a tuition difference between the Evans MPA and the Evans PhD? So yes, there is a vast difference between them. And instead of going through it now, I would encourage you to go on our website, go under the MPA and look at the tuition. And then for the PhD program, go under the tuition for the PhD program. Different structures, tuition structures. And so it's definitely worth taking a look at both and seeing which one is best for you at this time. What benefits to the MPA do you see for someone with an engineering and management background? So the MPA is a degree that will prepare you for leadership and management. And so as an engineer, you probably have the quantitative readiness or even the data analytics. So if you look at our program's curriculum, you will see that there are a lot of courses in policy analysis. And so that will be a great place for you to use your engineering background. And the management component is where we help strengthen you and give you more tools for your tool belt to prepare you for a career in service. And so those two really do marry quite well under the MPA. How long are letters of recommendations good for? Can I use one I have for when I considered applying yet last year? Absolutely. If you have already requested a letter of recommendation from your recommender, you can still on the application list your recommender. An email will go to your recommender and then they just have to upload the letter. So whether they gave it to you last year or they're going to submit it this year, they just have to go on the website and upload it. So they'll just follow the instructions. Do you have an opinion on doing the MPA program part-time versus full-time? I know that there are certain financial aid opportunities that are available for full-time students. So yes, so the difference between the two is that the full-time MPA program is a 2-year program. The part-time MPA program is a 3-year program. So there is a duration, a length of time that it will take to complete the program. Should you start part-time and feel somewhere along the way, I think I really can't handle a full-time, then you are welcome to switch to the full-time at least once. Once you start and are enrolled in the program, you can switch either to the full-time program or from full-time to part-time. You will also notice that in doing your research about the Evans School MPA, the part-time tuition is based on a unit per unit cost versus a full-time student tuition amount. So definitely take a look at the two and see what are the cost benefits of going full-time versus part-time in the program. All students are offered or considered for fellowship opportunities upon completing your application and being admitted into the program. You are considered for a fellowship. You will either receive a letter that says, hey, congratulations, you've been accepted to the Evans School MPA program, or you may see a letter that says, hey, congratulations, you've been accepted and there's a fellowship. And so we give that information to you up front so that you can make an informed decision on the university or program that you're really trying to get into. And if there's some financial needs, you will know how much we're willing or able to support you financially in your education while you're at the Evans School. Can you confirm that the tuition for the full-time MPA is more expensive tuition-wise than the part-time route? Maybe reading that website wrong, so wanted to double check. I believe the part-time MPA program is more expensive than the full-time MPA program. So I want to definitely take a look. If you reach out to me or schedule a Zoom meeting, I definitely can go back on the website and send you some links or a comparison chart so that we can see what's the difference between the full-time tuition rate and the part-time tuition rate. But great question. Definitely do your homework. We can double check, triple check, just to make sure you're well informed about what are the financial obligations in choosing either a part-time or a full-time program with us. Any more questions? Will this recorded session be uploaded on YouTube? Absolutely. So I will do that within the next week. I will reach out to our team who uploads to our Evans School YouTube channel, and this webinar will be available for review. So my next webinar will be on December 2nd, which is the MPA admissions drop-in hours. So at this point and stage, a lot of students are starting to start their application, gather the materials, start writing the personal statement or the statement of quantitative preparation, and you may have questions along the way. I will be starting on December 2nd a host of drop-ins where you are welcome to drop in to ask your question, or you may just want to drop in to hear questions from other prospective students that you may not have considered that you may find valuable. So that will be our next one, December 2nd. So happy holidays, everyone. If you have questions, definitely reach out to me for a one-on-one advising meeting. I'm happy to help answer your questions in more detail because of your specific situation. And you can always reach out via Zoom or via a phone call. Happy to help when I can. Thank you.